For my Essex County project, I chose the Salem Witch House located in Salem, Massachusetts. The Salem Witch House is the only structure still standing in Salem, Mass. That ties to the witch trials of 1692. The Salem Witch House is also the only example of 17th century architecture that is still around in Salem. In 1940, the city was expanding roads and wanted to tear the house down. People in the city came together and raised money to save it as a historical landmark. Parts of the house were restored, and the house was opened as a museum in 1948. Now let's take a tour of the inside of the house. Inside, there are 4 main rooms and an attic. This is the kitchen. The kitchen is where the servants cooked the food, heated the house, and where the children would eat their meals. This is the room where the children, besides the youngest, would sleep. This is the master bedroom. The master bedroom had the tallest ceiling in the house. Tall ceilings in this time period represented great wealth. The bottom of the bed pulls out so that the youngest child could sleep there with its parents. Jonathan Corwin was a wealthy New England merchant, judge, magistrate, and politician. Jonathan Corwin owned and lived in the witch house with his wife Elizabeth Gibbs, along with their 10 children. Jonathan Corwin is most known for his involvement in the Salem witch trials. Some business meetings about trials and cases were held right in the Corwins' formal dining room. Accusations against others were also made in the house itself. The Corwins were considered a wealthy family back then. They had things that others did not have in this time period, such as servants that lived in the walls of the house and were only seen if needed. Another sign of wealth was the clothes that the Corwins wore. They wore bright-colored clothes, while the servants wore neutral-colored clothes. The Corwins also owned a long table, which represented great wealth because only the king had one. It was actually illegal to have a table longer than the king's table. Spices were also very expensive at this time, and the Corwins had a surplus of them. Jonathan Corwin served on the court of Oyer and Terminer, which meant to hear and to determine. Governor Phipps created the court of Oyer and Terminer due to the excessive amount of accused witches that needed to be tried in court. Governor Phipps appointed prominent figures of Boston to be judges and magistrates, and Jonathan Corwin was chosen as one. This doll, for an example, was placed in the walls of houses for protection, but this act was actually considered black magic or the acts of a witch. Spectral evidence. Testimony in court that the accused person's spirit or spectre appeared in the dreams or visions of witnesses or the afflicted. The concept of spectral evidence is that anybody can be accused by just being pointed at with no proof. During the witch trials, many of the accused were never proven guilty, and a significant amount of people had been jailed on accusations of witchcraft. The spectral court convicted 19 of witchcraft and sentenced them to the gallows before it was disbanded in October of 1692. Today, spectral evidence is not used in a court of law. Today, you are innocent until proven guilty. If the witch trials used today's method in their court, most of the people who were killed, maybe even all of them, would not have been killed.